Be Politically Active from Building Bridges for America. This is our foundational course. So we're going to teach you how to list everyone you know, listen to people, and then engage with that personal network. Couple friendly norms as we get started. If you could keep yourself muted unless you are the one speaking, it just helps to keep down that background noise. And use that chat feature. It shouldn't, this experience shouldn't just be me sitting here talking to you. You go use that chat feature, and like I said, Terry will be engaging with you over there. Engage with each other. You are in a room of like-minded people, very rare and special, politically active people. So get to know each other. We got people joining us from all across the country. I'm going to try and save some time at the end, even if it goes beyond the hour for Q&A, but I'll try and keep the bulk of this meeting to an hour. So again, I want to make sure that you can use that chat feature. So if you're on a phone or a tablet, you're actually going to find the chat will be underneath the 3 ellipses. That's where you're going to find the chat. And then if you're on a computer or tablet, you see chat down there at the bottom. So my name is Kaz Marginaw. We use she, her pronouns. If you can't see the screen right now, I'm a 45-year-old white woman. I'm wearing my glasses. I got a little chalkboard over my shoulder with the countdown to the November 2023 election. If anybody else that might be helping out on campaigns might also have a similar countdown going in your head. So I'm joining you from South Bend, Indiana. Both Terry and I are proud Hoosier women. But like I said, we're building bridges nationwide. We got people joining us from all across the country. So I'm a mom. I have a full-time job as a climate research administrator, but I am also a volunteer. I'm a political organizer in my free time. I got started off as a political organizer just over 5 years ago, just about 5 years ago, when Pete Buttigieg launched his presidential campaign. He lit a fire in me, got me off of the sidelines. Prior to that, I was one of those people that barely even voted, but Pete's campaign, they made it so, basically, put out the call saying, don't wait for us, go ahead and organize on our behalf. And I took that group of us, took that as our charge, and we started organizing for him. So, and then when the campaign also helped us with like a boot camp of how to organize a campaign. And a lot of this training came right out of there. So this the How to Be Politically Active tonight was actually born out of his campaign in empowering people to not wait and just jump in and just get started. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. So again, I'm coming at you through Building Bridges for America. So I co-founded Building Bridges. Again, a lot of this training and a lot of this stuff came out of Pete's 2020 campaign. And we, once Pete dropped out of the race, we wanted to keep it going. We wanted to keep this good training, this empowerment going. So several of us created Building Bridges for America. And we are nationwide, all volunteer efforts to help volunteers. So those voters, like I was before a voter, become a volunteer, and those volunteers to then become organizers, and then those organizers to step up and run for office. So our political organizing training classes, we have 8 classes that we are putting forward for the rest of 2023, and then we'll also continue them throughout 2024 to coincide with the 2024 general election and helping out the Biden-Harris 2024 campaign. So, but to close out through the rest of 2023, you're in now. This is the start of our summer session. So every Thursday going forward for the next 8 weeks, we're going to have one of our courses. And then we're going to have a second session after that, starting in August, and then we'll have a Get Out the Vote. So courses tailored right towards getting out the vote there in October. So yeah, hopefully you're able to join us if you like this course. Hopefully you'll be able to join us for our 7 other courses that we're offering on successive Thursdays. So again, this is how to be politically active, how to list, listen to, and engage your network. So first, as maybe you have experienced, had this experience where you want to volunteer, you reach out to your local party, you say you want to volunteer, and then you never hear back. Or let's say you want to organize, you want to do, you have a program, you have some cause that you want to champion, and you want to organize, and you reach out to your state party and you never hear back. Or maybe you want to run for office and you're really interested and you want to help in running for office, and again you reach out to your party and you never hear back. Maybe you want to volunteer for a campaign, and the campaign gets back to you. If they do get back to you, they say, well, you can come door knock on this day, right? So you may have experienced wanting to help, wanting to get involved, but for various reasons being told either to wait or to stop or never hearing back, some sort of barrier that doesn't allow you to feel like you can get involved. So I'm offering something very different from that, is, for that model of you reaching out and wanting to volunteer to either to the party or to a campaign. I'm offering something different where instead we turn the focus onto you, and you going out and on your own having those great one-on-one conversations with people, being that trusted voice that goes out and conveys, what is important to you, using those personal networks. And from that, then bringing that and offering that as something that can then help out either your local party, the state party, or a campaign that works with your values. The reason for this is because you are actually the most effective messenger that there is in politics. So the most effective way that we can cut through and that we as Democrats can build political power is you. And it's you talking with people you know. And no one can stop you from doing that. You can be doing that right now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to ask. You can just get it started. That's what I did with going way back when I first got started with Pete's campaign. I just started talking with people I know. We founded people that we knew. We started growing this group just on our own, and it grew and it grew until the point that Pete's campaign reached out to us and said, hey, can you run the whole state for us? And I'm like, yeah, we can do that, right? So we did not wait. They actually had a saying, just do it and ask for forgiveness later. That was their motto. Whenever we said, is this something we can do? Just do it, ask for forgiveness later, right? So just do it. So there's nothing holding you back. So that's what this course is about. So today we're going to start off by helping you learn how to tell that story. So when you go and have those personal one-on-one conversations, what to say, what can you say that would then be effective? So how to tell that a story and be ready to really articulate that why. Why do you care? Why does this matter to you? And next, then we want to list the people in your network. So once you have your story ready, you want to be able to, okay, who are you going to talk to? Who are your people? So be organized about it and go out and list your network. And by being organized, not only are you more likely to actually do it and have a greater reach, it also then allows you to make sure that we're including everyone. We got our very political people that you might already be thinking of. Well, politics is for everyone. It's not just for that special and rare percentage of people that are politically active. Politics is for everyone. So we want to make sure that we're being organized so we can include everyone. And then you want to listen. Once you got that list, you then want to listen and actively listen to the people that you know. Because by listening, by actively listening and letting them know that they are heard, that being open to what they have to say, that's how we build trust. And so, a lot of the ills that we may see in politics these days boils down to this growing distrust. So how do we build trust? And that is through this active listening. And then once you have your list and you've listened to people, then you want to engage with people. You want to engage them, to welcome them into being politically active along with you. So welcome others to join you in what you are doing. That's what we're going to cover here today. So again, first, starting off with how to articulate and really tell that story. Second is to be organized and list out your network. Third, we're going to teach you those good skills, those good habits of active listening, so you're having effective conversations. And then fourth, making that ask of people, so you're engaging them in asking them to join you. First of all, right off the bat, is if you're waiting for someone to come let you know that it's okay for you to be speaking on behalf of a campaign or speaking on behalf of a political party. We got Biden-Harris have launched their campaign. If you're waiting for the Biden-Harris campaign to give you permission to speak on behalf of their campaign, let you know right now you have permission. You have permission. If you're waiting for the permission, you now have it. You as an organizer, you as somebody who cares, you now have that job to then go out and organize the people you know. You're not waiting on the party to hand you data of a walk list of people to go out to talk to. You already know the people. These are people you already know. That is where you are the most effective, is in talking with people that you know. And like I said, in doing it in this organized way where we're including everyone, we're having effective conversations and we're bringing them on as in engaging them to take part. This is going to be the most effective way you will ever be able to help out any campaign, including your own. If you're running for office, this is the same thing as reaching out and being organized and reaching out to people you know. It is the same thing whether you're the candidate, whether you're a volunteer. It's the same principles. So let's start off with telling your story. You might have heard that from other places about, oh, you need to make it personal. You need to make a personal ask and tell your story. Well, what does that mean, right? It's just like when a long time ago, I was asked by Pete's campaign to introduce him at a fundraiser, packed, a concert hall full of people, and I was supposed to stand up there, and they said, just tell your story. Tell your story. Why do you care? And I realized at that moment, even though I had all these, over a year been working on his campaign, I had never taken the time to stop and really articulate my why. So even though I had the passion, even though I had that, I didn't take the time to stop and articulate it. So that's what this is taking that time to do some self-reflection, to really be able to tell that story. So there's 4 steps to help you be able to create a story that is based in what we call our core values. So when you can tell a story based on what's really in your gut, who you really are, what you're really thinking and feeling, not based on issues, but really based below that, even deeper than that. When you can tell your story from your core values, that means that no matter who you're talking to, they're going to be able to understand you and they're going to listen to you. It'll be a compelling story. So let's walk through these 4 steps. First, step 1 is to figure out what those core values are. And we're going to walk you through being able to identify them for yourself. This is for yourself. This isn't the campaign telling you what the campaign's core values are. You're not figuring out what the candidate's core values are. This is yours. This is very authentic to you and who you are. Next is to then recall a time that you really felt that, where in your gut you really felt something like, oh, this is wrong, or oh, this is something we need to do. When did you actually feel that in your gut? Let's talk about that time. And then you want to then make that shift over to the campaign. So from you over to the campaign by saying, and this is why I support this candidate. Where do those values align with that candidate and that cause and what you believe? And then the fourth is making that ask of saying why it is so important that they act alongside you now. So first of all, what are values? Again, you might have heard core values before. Well, what does that mean? What are values? And the simplest explanation is it is what you value. What do you give value to? What is important to you? Those are your values. So values aren't your morals. Morals are what sense of right and wrong. It's not that. And values aren't an issue or a particular policy. It's deeper than that. This is about what you value, and values are things that we share. That's why we call them core values. They're things that even if we may experience them slightly differently, they're things that when we say these words, when we understand, they're things that we understand, that everybody will understand. An example is freedom. Freedom is a core value. It is deep down, right? Freedom isn't a morality. It's not right or wrong. Freedom is just something that is just so core and important to who we are, right? Freedom isn't an issue. It's not a policy. This is something that's just core to who we are. So when you can start off a conversation and base a story on a word like freedom, no matter where you go, no matter who you're talking to, they're going to be able to understand you and like feel alongside you. So a little bit deeper, the difference between your values and an issue. Like I said, the values are underneath. So like a top line, an issue that could be economic inequality. That is an issue. And I do hope that economic inequality is something that is important to you. You see that as something important that we can solve. But that's not the value. A policy would be then raising the minimum wage, which again, I hope that is important to you, but that's not the value. A value is deeper than that. It's like, why does that matter? Why? So the values then would be things like justice, equity, freedom, compassion, resilience. Those are the words that you want to be using and saying out loud when you are first telling your story. So again, you take that issue and then you think, how does it make you feel? How does economic inequality make you feel? And then why? Why do you feel that way? Because again, when we're speaking from our values, they need to be ours. They need to be personal to who we are. It needs to be authentic. We're human beings. We know when we're talking, when someone's talking to us, we know when they're being authentic. We know when it's coming from a personal space. And that's when we're more apt to listen to them and really understand them. So again, do this homework on your own to figure out what really then, when you hear economic inequality, how does that issue make you feel? Why do you feel that way, right? It's going to be different for all of us. And there's a whole bunch of core values out there. This is just a little smattering of some of the words that you can drill down to and find in your core as something being very important to you. And I call these nod along words. If you say, justice is important to me, compassion is important to me, no matter who you're talking to, they're going to nod along. They're like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Even if for them, it's not the most important thing to them. If you're saying that is important to you and you're using these words, they're going to understand. Whereas if I said raising the minimum wage is important to me, maybe some people are going to be like, yeah, right on, and they're going to be with me. But maybe some others are like, I don't really agree with that. We want to start off with what I call the nod alongs, where everybody, no matter who we're talking to, is going to be able to understand us. That's, like I said, starting the story off, finding those core values underneath. A couple other little tips when you are thinking about how to articulate your story. So again, speak first from those core values. Speaking to it means saying the words out loud. Say the word freedom, say the word compassion, say the word justice, say that it's important to me. Freedom is important to me. Compassion is important to me. Say those words. As Democrats, we let all that good stuff go to the subtext. It's like, no, say it out loud. Start with those words that bring us together. And the next is to use a personal story. So when you're sharing that story about a time when this really, you really felt, the concept of freedom in your gut, when you really felt it, you want it to be a personal story, right? Because a personal story, no one can disagree with you on a personal story. It's personal. This happened to me. You can't say it didn't happen. It's like, it's very personal. And it's because that no matter who we're talking to, no matter what moral system that you are coming from, everyone has empathy for people that we know. So again, you're speaking to people that you know, and you'll be able to when you're speaking from people we know. I think we have somebody unmuted, Terry, if you want to go grab them. But again, so when you're sharing a story from a very personal place, no matter what moral system you're part of, you're going to have empathy for that personal story. You're going to have empathy for somebody who is sharing a story that's personal to them or someone that they know. A couple little tips for as Democrats, a lot of times when we want to tell a story that feels compelling, a lot of times we go to logic. Think that is something that makes logical sense is something that everybody is then going to be able to understand. But that's not the case. Logic is something that, depending on who we are, how we are raised, we're going to have different senses of logic. So we don't want to use logic. Also that sense of morality, right? There's different senses of morality that we have, someone who is more conservative or even more progressive than you is going to have a different sense of morality. So let's just leave morality alone. Also facts. Our brains are all wired differently. We could interpret facts in different ways. But the things that we all share, no matter who we're talking to. So when we start that conversation out, we want to make sure that no matter who we're talking to, they're going to be able to understand and really feel alongside us. That is those core values, that, stating what is important to us, inner core, and that personal story. So share that story about how that issue, like I said, think of a time when you really felt that value in your gut. So this is kind of the model for when you're trying to think of how can I articulate my story. If you want an actual script of how to practice putting this together, here it is. And this is my time to say that we have a workbook version, an accompanying workbook version of this course. So I'm talking about this homework of you doing this introspective work. Don't expect you to do it on the fly right here. So we have a workbook that walks you through those steps that I just covered. And then walks you through then being able to go to form this kind of model sentence that you can then use when you want to practice articulating your that personal story. So first, those feelings. Again, let's start with the things that no matter who we're talking to, they're going to understand. No matter who you're talking to, they're humans. We all have feelings. So when you share your feelings, they're going to really feel alongside you, right? So, so share your feelings. You can say, right now, I feel angry, right? I'm a Democrat in Indiana. You better dang sure I feel angry, right? So yeah, I feel angry because freedom is important to me. Right? Who would not belong to that if you're saying, I feel angry because freedom is important to me? And for me, that time when I really felt, that core value of freedom in my gut was here in Indiana after Roe fell. And then they took away my right to choose here in Indiana. I felt that I was crying. What was that emotion that I was feeling in my gut? I had freedom robbed from me. It was taken away from me. And it's just like, that was just wrong, right? Just in my gut, unless it's just like that was just, it was just tore at me. So again, that's why when I want to talk about freedom, I can say, I feel angry because freedom is important to me. And like I said, when Roe fell and they overturned and they took away my right to choose here in Indiana, I just knew I had to do something. And that is why I support. So then I joined the group of women here in Northern Indiana that get together to grow our political our political power. So it's called the Kitchen Cabinet. So I joined the Kitchen Cabinet, and we're getting together for coffee on Wednesday. Would you like to come with me? Right, that's then that engagement piece. So that's, if you could build that into your story, just get used to asking people to come and join you on the next thing. So again, so take that time for yourself. Like I said, don't use anybody else's story. Think of it for yourself. Be creative, really dig deep and find out, how are you feeling? What is that value that is important to me? When did you really feel that value, right? When did it become something that you knew was motivating you to do more than vote and come and sit in a room like this on a Thursday evening, right? What was that? Share that story. And then take that turn, make that turn over to something that's going on now. So are you helping a grassroots group? Are you becoming helping out part of the party? Is there a candidate that you really like, right? Are you just really excited? Have you already donated and you're ready to work for Biden Harris, right? What is that you are doing right now and asking people to come and join you? All right, so that's your story. That's your homework. I call that your homework. You're going to take that homework and you put in your back pocket, right? You want to have that story ready to go. So whenever you do encounter somebody, whenever you're having that conversation, you at any moment are ready to pull out and say your why. It's the same thing. So I'm talking to everybody. If you're a candidate, you're running for office, that's your stump speech that you are ready at any time when you're walking down the street and you encounter somebody. You want to be able to pull out those personal stories. Not just one, you start with one, but you'll gather many personal stories. Keep them in your back pocket, and that'll just give you that confidence when you're going out to and wanting to engage with people. Give that confidence that you know that you have when you go to open your mouth, you know what you're going to say. All right, so next is that we're being organized piece. So we want to list your network. So literally, it just means that you start making a list of all the people that you know. So it really is that simple. So I tell this to candidates too. When candidates are running for the first time, their very first action is to go through and make a list of everybody that they know. So go through all your email lists, go through your phone, go through everybody, who did you go to college with? Everybody, make a list. So we do that as candidates. It's also what we do as volunteers, is to go through and make a list of all of the people that you know. And we actually want to write it down. We want to write this down because we want to be organized about it's going to save you time. It's going to be something that you can always, that list, like on a campaign, any campaign, whether you're talking about the Biden-Harris campaign and you're talking about, your local clerk's office, no matter what office that you're talking about, the political power of a campaign is an email list, right? Those are the people that you know. Those are the people that you can reach out to. So as an individual person, again, your political power is that network, and who do you have? So make that list, and that list then becomes your power. So again, start making a list of all those people you know. Next, you want to then make a plan to talk to each person. So these are people you already know. You're probably going to talk to them anyway, right? But the difference is this time you want to be intentional, that when next time you are talking to that person, that you're going to bring up something about the politics that are going on. We're in an election cycle. You can say, hey, we here in Indiana, we just had a primary, a municipal primary. So here, if I was to talk to somebody, say, hey, what did you think about the primary election, right? Just start that simple opener, but I'm going to be intentional, and each person I talk to, I'm going to bring that up. And the next part of being organized about your list is after you talk to people, you want to then track, make notes about what did you talk about and how did they respond, right? Did you share that you are, going to go to Kitchen Cabinets Coffee next Wednesday and you invited them and they say, not this time, but maybe next time? Make a note of that. Make a note of that. So next time you're inviting them. Right. And then again, the most important thing is to make that plan to reach out to them again. Again, these are people This is kind of, I call this is the absolute basis of what it is to be civic, to be a citizen, is that we are talking with people that we know, right? Candidates, they're going to come and go, right? And, party officials and stuff, they're going to come and go. But you're going to be here the whole time. Your network of friends, you're going to be here the whole time. So we want to be making sure that the ties that really bind and keep our civics going are at this personal level that is just going to be there for time and time again. So again, you're reaching out to people and then you're also then making a plan to go back and reach out to them again. You don't want to reach out to them like just every single time you talk to them, you're talking about politics and asking them to get involved in something. Again, these are people you have other reasons to talk to them. So some other time that you are planning on talking to that person, you want to be intentional about bringing this up again. So let's walk through this. And in your mind, I want you to be thinking about that last adult person you spoke with. So go ahead and chat. So share your relationship to that last adult person that you spoke with. And I got to think, who was the last adult person? I work from home, so I don't have to see people too often. The last person I spoke with, coincidentally, I am a very political person. So the last person that I talked to is our candidate who is running for city clerk. So maybe that's a bit of a cheat, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to go with Bianca.
Yeah,
So
we have like wife, brother, a friend who worked within a charity. So a former colleague.
nice.
Yeah.
Those are good. So wife,
Neighbor,
brother,
we've got neighbor.
colleague,
Yep.
friend, neighbor. That's an excellent one. Yeah. Okay, so keep these in mind for each of you. Be thinking about your brother, your neighbor, your friend, right? Your wife.
Phone banker. Her last person she talked to was a phone banker.
Hey, we'll take it. But we're talking personal relationships. So last adult, although I mean, if not a phone banker, but I mean, it could have been, checkout person that if you go to a coffee shop all the time and you see that person often, right? It could be somebody like that, more tangentially of a relation to you. But again, keep in mind that last adult person that you spoke with. And they go on your list. They go on your list. So you want to put that person on your list, even if it is your wife, if it's your friend, if it's your mom, if it's your neighbor, whoever that was, they go on your list. And the information that you put that you keep of that person is pretty basic, right? It's just like who they are, their contact information. If it's not something if they're not just preset in your phone real quick, and then that tracker, right? You want to be able to record, when was last time you talked to them? What was it like? How was that conversation? How did it go? And then are they a supporter or not? The interesting thing about this kind of data is this is the exact same data that campaigns and the party will keep when they are going out and reaching out to voters. So basically, you're creating your own data that then is very, very, very similar to what campaigns will keep. The difference is this is even more powerful because, again, you are the most effective messenger for these people that you're putting on the list, you are the number one most effective messenger, right? Joe Biden himself cannot do better than you in conveying the message. So this becomes, you know, you have a superpower for the people on this list. So again, that person you're thinking of went onto this list. Then you also want to be making a list and filling it out. And if you need prompts to kind of help you, gosh, who should I put on there? First of all, think of just, you know, make it easy for yourself. Who are the three like easiest people for you to talk to, right? Who would be, you know, maybe it's your best friend, maybe if it's, you know, your mom, maybe it's your kid. So, you know, make it easy for yourself. Put the three easiest ones on there. But again, since we're doing, you know, part of doing this is so we reach out to everyone, right? So even a campaign with the best field campaign in the world isn't going to be able to reach out to everyone. And we all know those people, right? They're your mom, they're your neighbor, they're your coworker, somebody who just traditionally does not fall into what, you know, what campaigns methods of reaching out to people. Like, you know, my parents will never answer the door. If a door knocker knocks on their door, they're not going to answer the door. They never will answer that door. Or if a phone banker, they will. So it's like they're cut off from campaigns, but they're very reliable Democrats, but they just need to know what's going on. So again, think of that person who may not be traditionally contacted through a campaign. You want to make sure you're the only way that they're ever going to hear that message. And then also be thinking about three people. Another easy one is thinking about three people that you know are going to vote. They vote every dang time. They are super voters. You want to make sure that you are reaching out to your super voters because again, they're gonna vote. So let's make sure that you're talking to them and they're making a good informed choice. And then also, like I said, we're spreading this out. We want to reach more people. You want to be reaching out to three people that you're not even sure are registered to vote. Again, these are the people that a campaign normally cannot reach out to. We got voter rolls based on who is registered to vote. If you're not registered to vote, no campaign is going to be able to reach out to you. The only way that person is ever going to be involved is if you reach out to them personally. So again, think of three people that you know that you're not even sure if they are registered to vote. Put them on your list. And then the last one I want to mention is put some on your list. I mean, really stretch yourself and think, oh my gosh, if I could talk to this person over time and I can eventually get them to support this candidate or support this issue, then dang, we are really going somewhere, right? Put that goal person on there. So back in the day when I first got started and I was making this list for myself, my goal person was my youngest child. And it was hard. I never thought in a million years I would get that kid to vote for Joe Biden. And sure enough, I got him. I got him to do it over time. I eventually got them to put in their vote for Joe. So it can feel intimidating to put a reach like that on your list, but if you can get them on your side, you know, once my kid cast their vote for Joe, I knew he was going to win. So, and again, the power of this list, again, this is, as I mentioned before, this is your data, just like campaigns and the party, you know, they have vote builder with those lists of data. This is your data. So one, you want to be organized. So again, make that list and keep it up to date, right? To be making sure that anybody that is showing that they're starting to, okay, yes, I want to volunteer, or yeah, I'm definitely going to support, and I'm definitely going to show up and vote for that candidate. Make sure you're making notes of that. And then also that inclusivity, make sure that no matter who you know, don't count anybody out, right? Everybody deserves to be part of our political process. And again, along these lines of this, of it being your data, it's also your power. So, you know, this then is the list of people that you have that you can then bring to a campaign. You can bring that to the campaign, you can bring that to the local party, you can bring it to a campaign and say, hey, I have 15 friends and they're going to vote for you, right? That is then your political power with that candidate. All right, so you got your story. That was one piece of your homework. Next piece to your homework was this list, right? Creating this list. And now that you have this list, now you got to go out and be intentional and have those conversations. And it can seem like I said, think of that person that you have in mind, your wife, your friend, your brother. Think of that person and imagine yourself going to them and asking them, you know, say, hey, you know, I'm really excited about this upcoming, about the 2023 general election. I'm really excited about it. How are you feeling? Where are you at? Let's say you did that to your friend. How would that feel? What would you be excited to go do that? Or might you be nervous? Oh my gosh, I got to go bring that up. Maybe it's somebody you don't usually speak politics to. Maybe you don't know how they're going to react, right? So, so like I said, you told yourself, I'm going to go do it. And now I need to go do it. Well, first of all, let me let's put one more set of skills in your pocket to make it easier, so you don't have to be worried and nervous about starting these conversations, because you're going to have these good habits that's called active listening. You're going to have these skills of active listening, because when you go and you start that conversation, all you're going to do is you are going to ask a question and then you're going to just stay open and listen. That's all you have to do. Very much just stay open and listen. You can start that conversation of just asking a very simple question. Hey, I'm really fired up about the general election coming up in November. Where are you at with that? And then your only job is to stand back, stay back, and listen, right? So if that person, no matter what they come back with, you are just going to stay open. Maybe the person will come back and say, what? Huh? I don't care about that. Well, that doesn't matter, right? No matter what they say, you're going to stay open. You're going to say, oh my gosh, well, you know, tell me how you're feeling about that. You're right. You don't think that, you know, you don't care about that. Why? Tell me more about that. So no matter what they come back with, even if it's as negative as you can think, like, again, you're not going to push back on them. You're just going to stay open. And you're just going to ask them more. Just be curious. I personally love doing this. I'm a very curious person by nature. So I don't like to assume where anybody's coming from. I like to make them say it. So I want to be curious. I want to know exactly where they're coming at. So maybe if you got that in your head, that that's what you're going to be doing, it won't be so intimidating to start that conversation, because it's not going to be a debate. Right? You're not going to have just you know, like we're used to seeing on TV where the two talking heads are yelling at each other, yelling past each other. No, this is just an open conversation. This is just where you are sharing and you're listening to that person about where they're at. So there's a couple habits to get into that can make it so you are better at listening and engaging that person in that conversation. So there's on the screen now is the active listening guide. Again, there's a workbook version of this that has that guide in there. So I recommend grabbing the workbook, because these are habits. These are things that that you learn to do and you practice over time until they just become muscle memory. And then when you use these in conversation, you'll see that you are having very effective conversations where that person that you're speaking to feels heard and that they are able to open up and you're able to make that connection. So the first tip of active listening is to avoid any distraction. So when you go and you talk to that person, you want to set your intention onto listening to that person. So, whether you're meeting over coffee or talking on the phone, whatever it is, make sure that you don't have distractions around you. And so they really understand that you are sitting and you are listening to them. Then also, don't interrupt when that person is speaking, really let them be heard. So even if you are completely disagreeing with everything that they have to say, you want to make sure, again, that they understand that they're being listened to, so don't interrupt them. As people are talking, there's things that you can do to make sure that that you are understanding them. So you repeat back to them what you are understanding that they're saying. Well, it sounds to me like you're saying that, the election coming up isn't, it doesn't matter, Democrats win every time. Is that what you're saying, right? Reflect back to them their exact words that they're saying. And again, it makes them feel heard because you're repeating exactly what they said. And then it's also helping you to be able to really understand. And a big one is when people are speaking to you, that is your time to pay attention. This is not a debate. This is a dialogue. So you're paying attention, and it is not your time to be thinking about a rebuttal to correct things that they're saying. It can be hard, when you disagree with someone. It can be hard when they're saying things that aren't true. You just want to jump in and you just want to correct them. That's not what we're doing in this space. This is an active listening space. This is a different exercise where you're just getting that person to feel heard, and you're trying to understand. You're curious and you're want to know where they're coming from. So again, when they're speaking, it's not your time for rebuttal. This is your time. The only thing you want to be listening for is those connections. Maybe, you're disagreeing with almost everything they're saying. Just let those disagreements go flying by, and you're going to try and capture that one thing that's like, hey, we actually have this in common. And when you find something in common, so you're looking for that common ground, when you find it, say it out loud. Hey, me too. Hey, I feel that same way. It's like, great. Wow. Look, this is something we absolutely agree on, right? Find that and speak to it. So again, this is active listening. This actually came out of when I worked on the Biden campaign. We had one of our volunteers. She was a nurse who her whole career was to call patients and tell them that they need to make absolute changes to their entire lifestyle in order to save their own lives. So talk about really needing to be persuasive, because you need people to make these changes they absolutely don't want to make. This was her active listening guide. This came directly from her. This isn't a political document. This came directly from her, but it works perfectly within the political environment as well, because again, it's just about making people feel heard and making and you really understanding where they're coming from. Because so this kind of listening and that it's reciprocal. So if you can make that person feel heard, and if you can understand where that person's coming from, then when it's your turn to speak, they are much more likely to listen to you and then also want to understand you. So you need to start that off, right? Someone needs to be the adult in the room. Someone needs to start that off. So be that one that starts it off by starting up that conversation, handing them the microphone, letting them speak, letting them be heard. Doing that work that you just did when you were trying to find out what your core values are, do that for them. Help them dig down. Maybe they just want to talk about some issue that you guys actually don't have in common, right? Maybe they have a different take on an issue or policy than you. don't talk about that issue or policy. Make them dig down. Why is that important to you, right? Be curious. Why is that important to you? And try to find deep down below something that then you can both agree on. So again, that's the active listening guide. It's out there in your workbook. And then the final thing to do is then to engage with that person. So you've handed them the microphone. You've listened to them. You understand where they're coming from. And now what you want to do is then this is where you pull your you pull your story out of your back pocket and share with them. Right. So this whole time your story, all that articulate that why has been sitting in your back pocket. And then once you feel that that person has opened up, you understand where they're coming from, then you share with them. Well, I am angry right now because freedom's important to me, right? You start with that you shared at that point. Maybe it really doesn't have much to do with what they had to speak about. Maybe they were talking about something completely different. Doesn't matter. It's personal to you. It's your story. You're going to share it. And then you're going to make that ask at the end. Again, you're tying it to some action that you are taking now, right? You're tying that that core feeling that you're having, what's important to you. You're tying it to the political action that you're taking right now, and you're asking them to join you. So again, going back to, we're pulling it out of our back pocket. So you say, I feel fed up because here, freedom is important to me. In Indiana, my freedom to decide my health was taken away. And that is why I support the kitchen cabinet, because it empowers women here in Indiana. And I'm going to go to this meetup with them on Wednesday. Will you join me? Right? How short was that? That was a short little, we're not talking about these needing to be very long conversations. It's a short little conversation that you can just add in there with that ask. Couple things, we've kind of already talked about how, handing them the microphone, might feel a little bit, make it feel a little bit easier to be able to ask that and open it because you don't have to, you're not defending yourself. It's not a debate. Again, when if you're nervous about starting these conversations, or maybe when you do start the conversation, you feel that tension. You feel a little bit of tension. Again, these are personal relationships with these people. That tension can feel a little bit more amplified if you're used to being comfortable with this person, and now suddenly there's a little bit of tension there. What to do to get you through that moment is, first of all, like I said, fight that instinct to defend. Let's say that person says something, maybe they say something and you know that it's factually incorrect. Or let's say they share something and they have a different opinion than you, right? Or maybe they're saying some talking point. Maybe they're just trying to egg you on. Maybe they're trying to, poke the bear a bit. So maybe they throw some talking point at you, some tired old trope, right? Again, fight that instinct to defend. If they're pushing on you, they're expecting you to push back. When you don't push back, when instead you open up, you created this whole new space, this whole new kind of politics, whole new kind of talking politics. And as soon as you are in that new space, like I said, you hand them the microphone, tell me more about that, right? Tell me more, because the whole point of active listening is to get that person to think and feel for themselves. And the last piece there I want to stress is, I like to say, if you feel uncomfortable, when you start the conversation and you really do feel uncomfortable, give yourself that permission to walk away. These are personal relationships that you have with people. Those are very important. I like to say it's just politics. It's just politics. So always give yourself that permission to walk away if you think it might do more harm than good. And the last thing I want to bring up is avoiding fatigue. So when you're talking to people, the worst thing that you can do is if a friend sees me coming and they're like, oh, here comes Kaz, she's going to talk politics, right? That's the worst thing that can happen. So again, make sure that you that you're only talking, you're only bringing this up every now and again, right? Think about all those other amazing things that make you friends or bring you together in this world. What are all those amazing things? talk about those all the time, right? Politics is just a natural everyday part of life, just like anything else. So you want to make sure that you're keeping that, full roundedness of that relationship with that person, and just bring up those politics every now and again. And also when you're talking to people, you don't have 30 seconds at a door to convince that person to support a candidate. These are people, you can't change anybody's mind. They have to change it for themselves. So the most that you can ever do is just sort of plant a seed of this kind of stuff. So then touch on it over time. Sometimes if the person that you're talking to, like, you have very different politics from them, or they really just don't care about politics like at all, it can take time. It can take time to get them to feel that this is either something that they want to be part of and want to pay attention to, or they might actually start to agree with you. We call it just tilling the soil. Sometimes you're just tilling the soil. And no matter how the conversation goes, let's say you go and you talk to your neighbor and you tell them about how you're feeling, as a woman in Indiana, and she's like, oh my gosh, me too. Right. And you tell her about, oh, well, I'm going to Kitchen Cabinet. She's so excited. Tell me all about it. I can't wait. Right. Let's say it's the best political conversation you've ever had in your life. You want to keep the political talk to 20 minutes. No matter what, you keep it to 20 minutes. You brought it up in conversation. You're going to change it to something else, because again, politics, natural, normal part of our lives. You have all these wonderful things that bring us together as people. Politics is just sort of one piece of it. So once you make that connection, that's fantastic. But then you want to make sure that you're strengthening that relationship the way that it, with all those other great things that bring us together. All right, so that was our that was how to be politically active. That was our first primer course. We have several courses then that are kind of built on this same principle, this kind of new way about talking about politics and empowering you then to be part of not waiting for a campaign or party or to reach out to you, to doing this stuff, starting this now on your own.